Welcome back to the second hour of the show with no name for October 26, 2012. I'm Bob Going with Gavin Murdoch and Jim Nikosha. And in the first hour, we talked a little bit about the Green Hill Cemetery tour, and then we kind of got distracted on some other obituaries and such. But what a spectacularly wonderful thing it was. Beautifully conceived and brilliantly executed, at least on my part. The trouble, you know, I'm the last guy on the last tour stop, and most of the others had humorous aspects to them. You know, you got Benedict Arnold being mistaken for the British Benedict Arnold, or you know, the traitor Benedict Arnold, and being pissed off about that. You got Benjamin Blood experimenting with nitrous oxide and such and such, and so you know, I don't know what everybody else is doing, and it wasn't until after the first night that they came back. Can you cut a couple of minutes off your presentation? You run a little. I don't know how long I'm running. You know, that I'm running long. I thought, I don't know. I've done it. I've done it different every time I've done it. You know, you see what works, what doesn't. And you think of other things. But I had a really serious part. You know, you can't really make jokes about the first guy killed.
No.
So I worked in. You know, made it a little light. You know, I said if you're going to die for your country, it's always best to be the first one, because you know you get a park named after you, or a street, or in my case, a chapter of the Grand Army of the Republic kept my name in front of the lights till the 1930s, when the last member of the local chapter died off, and even then I think they had sons of the Grand Army of the Republic kept going for a while. I said, but this guy over here next to me, he died the same day I did. Nobody remembers him at all.
Did you have a cast party following the event? Did you get a chance to get together with the other?
No, not really. Yeah. I just went home. Yeah. I hope somebody videoed it, because I frankly want to see what everybody else did.
Did they do any extensive about the ghost at City Hall or not?
Well, something else was going on about that. Yeah, they had the psychic. You know, I don't like that stuff. I mean, it's all baloney to begin with, and these people who claim they can see ghosts and all that stuff, they're either really crazy or really demonic, and in either case, I don't want to have anything to do with them. So I didn't step foot in City Hall while the psychic was there. Whereas one of the cast members noted to me, "Hey, now we got two psychics in City Hall."
But did they know where each of them were, though?
I don't know.
They should.
They should have.
They should know. Psychic.
Tell the psychic. Remember Dan Aykroyd's?
Yeah.
Tell the psychic. Anyway, no. So I don't know what was going on there, but it was since we used the old rec building as our dressing room and makeup room and such, and then. What a nice setup, though. You know, you climb the 100 stairs up to that area. It was Joseph Cornell, who used to own the farm that became Green Hill Cemetery, greets everybody and takes them around. His grave is the first one you come to, and it's the only grave that faces south. You know, before the trees grew up on the hillside next to City Hall. It had the most tremendous view over the valley, and of course, I theorize that was probably the family plot before it even became a cemetery. The corner of his farm, where you would want to be buried if you
got to be buried.
So I had this. I worked in the Gettysburg Address for most of the performances.
The whole.
Oh yeah.
The whole thing.
Yeah. And you know, for a while, the first performance of the second night, I cut it out. Well, if I got to cut 2 minutes,
that's it.
That's it.
Yeah.
You know? And so I changed the plot to a little anecdote about how in April of 1865 we all stood at attention as the Lincoln funeral train came through Amsterdam.
So how many ghosts did you have up there doing performance? Now, how long was your performance altogether? 5 minutes?
Yeah, maybe
6 minutes.
5-6 minutes. Yeah.
So it was about an hour, 45-minute tour. 45 minutes to an hour tour for everybody.
About 40 to 50 minutes.
Yeah.
The whole circle took. Anyway, you know, you could do a different tour, like at Fairview Cemetery or even St. Mary's Cemetery or one of these other, because there's famous people buried everywhere. But I don't think there's any place you can do it that is as convenient as having City Hall there to gather people and feed them refreshments while they're waiting in line and all that, and then you get the staircase right up to the graves that you're going to. I mean, there are other parts of Green Hill Cemetery that could be interesting, but you have to get to them.
Where is the staircase?
The staircase is right above City Hall, going up Church Street. It's right. It's
right
just past the City Hall property line. And it had been closed for years. When we were kids, that used to be the shortcut. You'd go up through there to get over to Hibbard Street and whatever. But it's actually in good shape. I was surprised.
But they've done a lot of work up in the last few years. It was pretty shoddy for a while.
Now, one of the ways I worked in the Gettysburg Address, and first of all, is what the heck were we fighting for here? Then I tell the story about the Black Medal of Honor winner on the other side of the cemetery. He knew what he was fighting for, but took Mr. Lincoln to get us into it. But for me, what it was really about was, on that very spot in 1962, I recited the Gettysburg Address on Memorial Day.
Up there?
Yeah.
You did?
That used to be the main spot. From the time Memorial Day became a holiday, every Memorial Day they would build a little platform on that Civil War knoll, and the speeches would be given from there. And of course, it helped that my grandparents lived at Post 701, which was who sponsored that one by 1962. Obviously, the GAR was long out of business by that time. But I mean, there used to be a lot of ceremonies on Memorial Day. There'd be one at the bridge. That I don't think had a speech attached to it, but they would throw a wreath into the water. I don't know if they still do that from the Riverlink Park. They did a few years ago, but I kind of think they don't do that anymore.
I don't think no.
And then each of the cemeteries had, and Memorial Day had come around, and you'd see in the paper a whole page full of who's given the speech at this cemetery, that cemetery. And Vince DiSananzo gave the principal address in 1962. He sat next to me on the platform. Well, I'll bet you when we play this back, they'll hear the train going, and for some reason the microphones pick up the train sound better than us. By the way, I found the little sponge that goes on the end of the microphone, so hopefully when the wind blows, it does. Well, on one of them anyway. I found it. I don't know where I found it. On the floor of my bedroom. I went looking to see where you can buy those. It's just a freaking little sponge. And I guess they're hard to come by.
People lose them.
And they're easy to lose. They're very easy to lose. Anyway, so I'm almost 11 years old, and my father worked with me for weeks on the Gettysburg Address, and I had to do it from memory. And it kind of annoyed me in later years as I'd go to other Memorial Day services and find the kids reading it.
Yeah, read it.
Yeah. What is this?
Didn't you also do that at Scully for the oratorial contest up there one year, Gettysburg Address?
Actually, no. You may have heard me recite it because I had a ghost buddy sit with me the second night. They had kind of determined that it was real lonely at each of these stations,
Yeah.
because it'd be, a half hour between shows.
Yeah.
And we're just sitting there all by yourself in the pitch dark. So each of us was assigned a ghost buddy, and he says to me, how long did it take you to memorize that? As though I had just memorized
Yeah.
it. And I said, I don't know, 2 or 3 weeks, 50 years ago.
I can't remember you doing, but it was at Scully for something.
Not publicly, no.
You probably heard him rehearsing.
No, it was.
I did do it. I did do it at a Republican Lincoln Day dinner
No.
a few years back. Quite a few years back.
Because John Bintz did a speech, you did one, and I can't think who the other person was that did it. Because I think it's the American Legion sponsors an oratorial contest.
Yeah,
every year.
I did a speech on the Constitution, which I won. That was when I was a senior, though. They skipped it my junior year.
Well, maybe not. Where was-
They just assigned a winner.
Yeah?
Yeah. Because I remember talking to Tony Casellas, who was a senior, and I was a junior. And sophomore year there was a contest. I can't. Oh, my brother won. That's yeah.
That's why it wasn't you.
Oh yeah, it wasn't me. It was my brother. Although he might have won it as a junior. I forgot. I don't know. Yeah, my older brother. So I would. Yeah. So I wouldn't have been. They wouldn't even allow me in the contest. And then the next year, when would have been my turn, juniors and seniors, they just never got around to the contest and just
Pick one based upon what somebody wrote, huh?
No, not even that. They just said you're going to go to the county contest, and I was really annoyed. And I remember talking to Tony about it, because Tony had been in the contest that my brother won. I said, I don't know. These are the little injustices that happen when you're in high school. It's odd. I did go to Boise State, though. Did you go to Boise State?
No, I didn't go to Boise State. I was, I think, Sice and Albanese and somebody else went down to Boise State that year. What were you when we had the Students in Government Day down here when you were a senior? What job did you have? Did you have a job?
I did. I was the sanitation and dairy inspector, and I went around with the health inspector, following up on his previous inspections of like Homer and Bees and Steve's Hot Dog Palace and stuff like that. We were. God, I think it was Homer and Bees. It was pretty bad. But then we're getting up to Steve's Hot Dog Palace on Reed Street. And before we get there, he says, I'm afraid we're going to have to close them down today. He says, I've given him all these chances to fix this. And Steve Lewandowski, who later became a client of mine or something. Yeah, he was a client, yeah. Well, we get up there, and Steve had fixed everything. And he said, hey, look, look how great this bathroom is now. Look at that. So we didn't have to close it down. Okay, so now this is one of my proudest moments. They had the mock common council. Anyway, during the day, I guess the inspector had an office in City Hall. And I remember we're up on the 3rd floor, I think, of City Hall. All those rooms were filled with actual city offices at that time.
Yeah.
And I remember Janet Baramakis was a secretary or something in one of these offices. And while we were up there, a mouse runs from behind the desk someplace, and everybody's screaming, and this mouse is. So, common council meeting comes up, and. Let's see, J.D. Smealy, I think, is corporation counsel. Mike Newell from Amsterdam High was the mayor. He had been with us at St. Mary's freshman year, and I knew him. And I think we used to work together down at the teepee, so I knew Mike very well. My ward alderman was Maureen McNamara, who was my second cousin, and since her brother was in politics, that's why she got that job. And I'm only the health inspector. I'm not corporation counsel. I'm not the city treasurer. I think Lenny Rodzinski was city treasurer. Called me last week. Anyway. So they're going through this stupid common council meeting about, and one of the resolutions is to spend money on rodent control around the city. And I raised my hand. I remember I'm sitting next to Joe Pertel, who was an actual alderman at the time. Okay, and I said, they calling me. Well, I think I believe Mr. Going is a sanitation engineer. I said health inspector. Okay. I said earlier today. I appreciate you're trying to, get rid of the rodents at this place and that place around the city. But earlier today I was up on the 3rd floor and this small furry thing ran across the room, and it just seems to me that before we spend money trying to clean up this rodent problem in the parks and such around the city, we ought to put together a plan to clean the rats out of City Hall. I did, and Pertel just bursts out laughing. He says, "You got a great career in politics." Yeah. None of which got reported in the paper, unfortunately. And they weren't televising them at the time, but it was good. I wish I could recreate it the way it was, because my timing was absolutely impeccable. Boom. I got to jazz Joe Pertel for the first time. Oh, what a great guy. My God.
Did you go down to the estate sale?
At the, no.
No?
You're talking about the Constantino estate sale?
Yeah.
I have not, although the museum got first dibs on a lot of stuff, so they went on a kind of a shopping spree.
Oh, good.
And I'm losing track of the time. I believe
28th is the last day.
Gee, did they have the? Did I miss the event where I was supposed to be serving wine? I'm not sure, because the museum was sponsoring in advance of the art sale a invitation only 50 member limit. Look at the stuff where these people could actually buy the stuff ahead of everybody else or bid on it if there was a contest. Geez, I must have missed it.
Since it's
that's this late.
Yeah, because still got the sign up there.
Unless it's tonight. Maybe it's tonight or tomorrow. I'm not sure.
You ought to find out.
I really ought to go back in. I showed up late for the rehearsal last week. I told you that, right?
No.
Yes, I did, because it was before last week's show. I thought the rehearsal was Thursday, and it was Wednesday.
Oh, yeah, it was, because Bob brought your costume here.
Right.
Yes. This is from last night when you weren't there. So do you get that uniform to fit you okay?
No. It was really tight, and so I could only put one shirt under it. As a matter of fact, it was tough putting one shirt under it. And the first night we got all wet, and it's all wool, and I'm allergic to wool, so I got this damp wool jacket on me. Second night, it was nice and dry, but it got really cold. Really cold. I was frozen. And then I'd run the 5K Saturday morning. So. Did you guys see that in the paper yesterday?
I saw the picture. Saw the picture.
Let's see. My daughter says to me, "Now, let me get this straight, Dad. You put up a video of you running, and then they put a picture in the paper of you running across the finish line, and so the entire 15 seconds that you ran in that race make it look like you're ready for Sports Illustrated." It was pretty funny. Listen, you want your picture in the paper? Surround yourself with a cute kid.
Absolutely. Yep. Kids will get you there.
Yeah. And of course, it made it look like Laura had run the race, and she was just crossing the finish line with us. She was holding me back too.
Cut down your time.
Then the official time comes out, and they screwed it up in the printing process or something because according to the official time, Anna finished like a minute and a half behind me, and of course you can see from the picture she's right behind me. I mean, she's literally half a second behind me crossing the finish line. So they actually gave me her time and her the time of the person behind her.
Well, they don't have the electronic timing record.
No, you know, this is an unserious race. We didn't have the chips.
Yeah.
I haven't done one of those yet. I think the Turkey Trot is a chip race.
Oh yeah,
the one in Troy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's serious. That's seriously competitive.
Yeah.
And
That's right.
you know, I finished 4th in my age group and not last in my age group this time.
What is your training regimen that you have for this?
My training regimen? Well,
runs to the car every other day.
yeah. No,
It must take great preparation.
Yeah, it did. Because I did run earlier in the week, like Tuesday or Wednesday of last week, about a half mile out, half mile back. Yeah, so I won't say.
You didn't want to overtrain right before the race.
No.
You always have to cut back right before the race.
Yeah. Like I made the mistake when I did the Canada one. I actually ran 2 days in a row before the race. I gotta say, this time I did improve my time over the Canada run, and more importantly, I never felt like I was overdoing it at all. I mean, I wasn't hacking and coughing up a lung at the end of the race like I did the first time.
Did you get a stitch?
Well, no, but let me tell you, it's taken me a full week to recover. You know, the funny thing is, my legs felt fine. After the first race, they were really, really rough. But my legs felt fine because I've been using them more. But what killed me, and I think it's part of my advancing age, is upper arms and the shoulders and across the back. And then, you know, Sunday I had a wicked case of indigestion, which exacerbated the pain of the race. And I said, "Gee, am I having a heart attack? What is this?" So I, fortunately I have a nurse in the family, so I had her monitor this, and it turned out to be a bad reaction to cheese and crackers. At least I hope so. But anyway, well, yeah, I actually had some kind of bug, but it's funny, I had some kind of bug after the first race too, so I'm wondering if there's a relationship there.
I used to be a cross-country runner. I was a cross-country runner in college. Ran for Hartwick. And the rub there was because Hartwick was a Division I soccer program. All the sports in the same season had to be the same thing. And they would recruit for soccer, and they didn't recruit for the cross-country team. And we'd run against Cornell, Villanova, Penn State,
wow,
Pennsylvania.
You were really freaking Ivy League.
Well,
huh?
we ran against Ivy League. The caliber wasn't Ivy League. We had the wrestling coach when I was a freshman was appointed as the cross-country coach. And though I had never run cross-country in college, I ran a couple times at Anselman. We used to have that running group.
Right. Father Anselman.
Father Anselman, excuse me.
Reverend
Father
Joseph Anselman.
I realized real quickly that this guy really didn't know a heck of a lot about cross-country coaching because he was a wrestling coach. So his training methods didn't allow us to improve and compete at the level we would have liked. We went up to Cornell to run, and at Cornell their cross-country course is a true cross-country course you run on the golf course. And but unfortunately, because he's a wrestling coach and didn't understand dynamics, he got us there 10-12 minutes before the race was supposed to start. So we didn't.
So you really loosened up good, huh?
Well, not only that,
you were going ice cold?
Not only that, the only experience we had with the course was to look at the map and the Cornell runners pointing for us where we were supposed to be going.
You mean there weren't people to tell you where the turns were?
They have a couple stakes here and they have a little arrow here, So we were a little apprehensive when we started, and but we were pretty confident that we'd be able to keep up with the last Cornell runner and know where to go. So the race begins, and
well, yeah, you have to have somebody from the other side ahead of you.
Know where to go, right?
What the hell kind of way is that to run a race?
Yeah, you always got to be behind somebody so you know where to go.
Right.
So we're running the race, and it was pretty tough because most of the cross country courses then were at least partly on pavement. So running all on a soft surface was just taking its toll. And we're getting back there, and their varsity is way up there, and we're kind of back running with their JVs, because we weren't very good, relatively speaking. And a couple of us had kept the map, to see if we got lost where we were going to go. So my friend Gary Peck and I were running back there, and we've got what we can judge from the map to go about a half mile to go. And so we said we better pick it up a little bit. We're getting kind of too far behind. And we come around, it'd be kind of like running on the 14th hole at Muni. You take it was a dog leg to the right, through trees, and then you had to go downhill. And just before we get there, we hear some people coughing. I said, oh, it must be the Cornell runners up there laughing at the guys ahead of us, from Hartwick getting killed. So we come around the corner, dog right, left. We come down, which runs you between two different holes, and we found out too late why people were coughing. And on the map, it said Dead Man's Gully. And what it was swampy down there, and there had been probably 750,000 mosquitoes down there.
Oh my God! And now you're going.
That's exactly what we sucked.
There's nothing worse.
And you come up on top, and you got 100 yards to go to the finish, right? So all the guys from Hartwick, we're hacking and spitting, and these guys, they're assholes. Because it wasn't that far. It's only maybe about 20 yards through there. You could just suck it up for 20 yards and run without taking a big breath, Oh.
But you got to know that before you get there.
That's right. And if we had had a chance to walk the course, like the University of Buffalo did and Penn State did, we've been all set.
Yeah.
Well, we would have been last, but we wouldn't have felt quite so bad. The only good thing was we had afterwards we had a dinner for all the runners, and we had a chance to go watch Cornell play football, and that's when they had Ed Marinaro. He was the leading rusher in the country that year playing for them, so we got to see a decent football game. But it was just awful. And we had a lot of other experiences like that. We went down to Villanova, and we drew straws. Short straw had.
Joby Albuck was down there at the time.
No, he didn't run though. But Marty.
what he did.
But Marty LaCory did, and we drew straws to see who had to stay with him the first mile of the race. And the guy that got the short straw, I think there was a guy in crutches that finished behind him. That was it. But, I mean, Corey, he's burning out there. 4 minute mile.
So he's trying to go all out.
All right. So you're out going out for the first mile, and that was it for Mike Skrika. He just was dead after that mile. He didn't finish way back on that. So we had a good time, but we weren't very good. But we got a lot of good meals.
Well, Anna started out ahead of me. I said, don't hold back on my account. Just go, because she's been running steadily, and she'd done one the week before out in the town of Florida, where again, you don't know where you're going ahead of time. They got arrows in these country roads. Part of it was running up Bean Hill, for God's sakes. The highest point in Montgomery County. Yeah. Well, and the lady in charge said, "Wow, it's a beautiful view," And so she thinks when she goes over this first little hill that's the hill they're talking about, and then oh my God,
another little hill.
Oh, anyway, so she takes off, and I'm actually completely running for the first half mile without letting up. And I get into kind of a pace with this woman on my right, and she says, "Hello, Mr. Going." And and I realize it's somebody I taught in school. That's what she's. She's like, I don't know, 54 years old now. But she's calling me Mr. Going. There aren't that many people call me Mr. Going. If they'd seen me in court, they'd call me Judge. But If it's Mr. Going, or particularly Mr. Going, sir, it's somebody I taught in school when they were in high school. And I actually I kept up pretty good with her. I finished just behind her, ultimately.
So, leading up to your next race, are you making any adjustments in your workout habits?
Well, I don't know if I'm done or not. We're going to have to see. You know, I would have liked to have been back on the track on Monday after having run on Saturday. By the way, it was just a gorgeous day in Broad Alban. It was and the route runs through the village, starting at St. Joseph's Church, and runs those back roads up by the cemetery and School Street. You know, so it was just a great run, and it's fairly easy up and down on a beautiful, beautiful day. So it was a real pleasure to do. But I would have liked to. I felt really good after the race. You know, not at all tired or anything. As I say, Sunday was a little different. Monday, when I would have wanted to put on the shoes, I was in bed all day long, and I was in bed all day Tuesday. I actually didn't get out of the house till yesterday.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
You found like
I did have some kind of bug. I was it was really keeping me down. I don't think it was the race, but the race may have exacerbated it. So,
but you're feeling better now.
I'm feeling better now. Yeah. I still don't feel like putting on the running shoes. Maybe tomorrow. But I should go out 2-3 times a week between now and. When I run locally, I've been going over the bike path. I always see Dr. Jane. She's out walking her dog.
Yeah.
Every time I'm out there, she's out there. And the last time she said, "Where's your dog today?" And well, Chippy the Wonder Dog can't keep up with me.
Ooh.
Yeah. No, he can't. Yeah. He can't. When I'm running, he's. Yeah, he hasn't been feeling good either. He's out here. We got him off camera because last time we had him out on our outdoor set, he decided to take off. Remember? He wandered away for 10 or 15 minutes, and that was naughty. Look at him. He's going after the bugs.
Our home course at Harwick and Oneonta was down through Neowell Park. Nice park down there they've got downtown, and there was a spot that you had to do a couple loops through a couple. We'd have people stationed to make sure everybody does the loop and doesn't take a Ruiz version of the race. So we could be down in the park, and Gary Peck and I, no matter what we did, we always finished together. We ran
those were 5K, right? The cross countries?
Full 5 miles. Full 5 miles.
Oh, really?
Yeah, full 5 miles. And so anytime Gary and I would work real at it and we'd catch up to someone from the other team, we'd get on either side of the runner and say, "Are you feeling all right? You're breathing awful funny." And then once you say that to the guy, we were gone, and they'd start listening to their own breathing pattern. You know?
Jedi mind tricks.
Yeah. Well, that's all we had. That's all we had. Oh, we had a lot of fun, but it was just tough competing against schools that really recruited and had 4-minute milers on them, and we were 5.5-minute milers, 5-minute milers.
I was thrilled that I ran a 15-minute mile in this race, and my goal is to someday get it down to 12. But once I get the stamina up, I think I'm going to be fine because I run at a good clip when I'm running. And I'm able to run more than I was. And this was a very good warm-up race for the turkey trot.
So you're going to do the turkey trot?
All right, yeah, I'm planning on it. Yeah. I don't know who's going to do the turkey, but I'm going to do the turkey trot. I do all the cooking on Thanksgiving.
Oh, and that's a morning race, right?
It's an early morning.
9 o'clock.
I guess I can. I can get the.
You can put the turkey in early.
I can get the turkey in the oven.
That's just about right time, and put it in. Drive down 45 minutes.
See, that's the problem, though. It's the turkey will be done too early, but if I don't put it in until I get back, it'll be in too late. Maybe I just get it prepared and have somebody pop it in the oven at 8 o'clock or something.
Yeah, doesn't take a lot of watching while it's just a little basting every now and then. Make sure you get a nice crispy.
Well, even that can wait till I get back. I think all I got to do is just pop it in. I remember to do that.
Yeah, that was one of the
And who
first,
says you got to eat at 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock anyway?
Yeah, that's
When
right.
was that the rule?
when we were kids.
Yeah, because you had to get up at 6 to put it. Whoa! Look at that cardinal. Wow!
What an attack.
Wow! You folks at home, you can freeze frame that on YouTube, and you'll see that cardinal. Beautiful,
Yeah.
beautiful
Came
cardinal.
all the way in from St. Louis this morning
They
just for
did.
the show.
No, they had nothing else to do, did they?
That's right. They're watching like everybody else.
They're watching like everybody else. Doggone.
My son, my oldest son, was very disappointed. He was rooting for the Yankees in Cincinnati because he was in Lexington, Kentucky, which is only
Right.
an hour away, and he got he
Yeah.
got worked out. He was going to be able to get some tickets to go up to watch the Yankees in Cincinnati, but now he's like everybody else.
Who can even remember that Cincinnati was in it? You know, that's
Washington too. Remember, they were in it. Seems so long ago.
Texas. Doesn't it? Doesn't it seem like that was forever?
Well, what's funny is I get the post every day, and in there they have this day in
Wasn't Oakland in it at one time?
yes, they were.
Yeah.
And they have in the paper every day, this day in baseball.
Yeah.
Recorder does this day in sports, but the Post just does it for baseball. And they're having the playoffs when Washington was still in and Oakland was still in, and they're talking about World Series games. I'm thinking,
sure.
we might could get the World Series for 3
Right.
more days. The Game 7 of the 1961 World Series was played today, or 60. It's like,
Well, I distinctly remember on Columbus Day watching an afternoon World Series game.
yeah, because that's the only one we got to see
Yeah.
because it was
Yeah.
they were day games.
Day games.
And unless it was on the weekend, we missed all the weekday games. I remember at St. Mary's, everybody bring their transistor radio, and
Who's got that transistor? Who's got that transistor?
and it was Mrs. Connolly at 2 o'clock. We got another 10 minutes to go. She says, "All right, you can take them out and listen to them up loud now, so you can see who's winning the games." And because she knew everybody was, but that was a big. And the nuns down there, some of them were big ball fans.
Yeah.
They were, there was Dodger and Yankee there.
Sure.
You had it was interesting because they would sit around and talk about it, and they are human.
Uncle Si was telling me that I don't know. I don't know whether he was still in high school or right after high school. He was working in one of the factories on Park Street, and when there was a day game going on, there would be somebody who would put a chalk scoreboard right across Park Street, so they could look out the window and see what was going on from inning to inning. How many runs, how many hits, how many. Yeah. So the Park Street was turned into a scoreboard, and they was like, "Hey, Yankees are leading." It's always the Yankees.
Yeah.
They were in it a lot. And it's funny. Misha said the other day. He said, Jeter's always going to be a Yankee, and he's going to have all these World Series rings. He's got 5. Five. And I said, that's not even close. What do you mean? I said, there's a guy who's got 10. He said, who? I said, Yogi Berra got 10 World Series when they won it 10 times. How could they win it 10 times?
It's hard to believe, but
But you know what really bothers me is when they're giving all these stats, postseason stats. No, there's playoff stats and there's World Series stats.
Right.
World Series records are completely separate. Do not intermingle those other things to make these guys look something they're not.
Yeah, right.
Because
right.
just keep the world. Because they
right.
You've always had, just keep that.
Don't tell me you're topping Bob Feller's record because you've got so many postseason games.
Yeah. No,
Right.
exactly.
Right.
You're playing.
Yogi's career was pitch perfect for doing that. Because and the last one he won as a manager.
Yes.
Right? Or did he? No. They lost. He lost that.
Gil Hodges won it.
Yeah.
And that's that year.
Yeah.
But it was. I mean, he was. They won it 10 times, and they got beat. The Dodgers beat them in '55. They got beat by the Pirates in '60. Did Cincinnati beat them in '61? Did they win '61?
No, they won '61. Yankees won.
They weren't in it.
Don't you remember the headlines? Yanks beat Reds, and Khrushchev got all nervous.
They weren't in it in '59. That was the White Sox against the Dodgers. The Braves, they played the Braves in '57, '58. They won one year,
lost one.
Won. You know, so I mean, Yogi.
I mean, he came up in what, 49, right? When they won that year.
48 or 49, I forget which year. But you know what's funny is they had a group of 3 or 4 guys, but every year there's a different group of guys that they were playing with. There weren't that core. The Dodgers had that core group
Right.
of
right.
8 guys, 9
Right.
guys that played
Right.
all those games.
Right.
The Yankees, you look at who pitched. Oh yeah, you got Ford. Maybe you got Ratchie, and then who are these other guys?
Right.
Then you look who's playing. The field.
Well, what's really incredible is how few Hall of Famers the Yankees have
That's
for those
right.
years when they completely dominated everything.
Yes, they did.
You got Barrow-Mantle
Whitey.
and Whitey Ford. That's it, right?
And then DiMaggio at the beginning.
Yeah, and I'm not
That's
counting
it.
him.
But you're right. That's all there was. But you look at these other teams.
Right.
When they
I
played
mean,
them.
the Dodgers had the same core team through the 50s.
Yes.
The
Braves. I mean, they had 4 Hall of Famers, which is more than the Yankees had during that time.
Yeah.
They had Matthews, Aaron, Spahn, and Burdette.
Yeah. Yeah.
They didn't. And not only were they not all Hall of Famers on the Yankees, a lot of them were not even all-stars.
Yeah.
And they had some guys that cycled through at the end of their career. Enos Slaughter, he played with them, but his career is made someplace else.
Right.
It's just amazing that they just won.
Right.
They just won.
And it was like they won going away. I mean, it wasn't.
Yeah, there weren't many years it was close.
And then of course you got Maris with his brilliant short career.
Yankees.
Yeah. But that's what they had. They these a flash in the pans, flashes in the pan.
But they and they.
Although you can hardly put Maris in that category. I mean, that was more than a flash.
That's right. He
No,
had a good career. Elson Howard had a good
Pete
career.
Montanaro was sitting in right field when he hit the 61st homer.
Was he?
He's in the picture.
He is. He is. Yeah. There's only like 12 people out there, so you probably pick him out. Wow. There's what? Only 18,000 people at that game.
Isn't that absurd?
The Yankees were, they didn't draw.
There were like 10,000 people in Fenway Park when Williams had his final at bat and final home run. You would think that just because it's the guy's last game, they would fill the park.
Yeah. Yeah. It wasn't.
Yeah. And every once in a while you'll see on ESPN Classic or whatever, they'll show I think it had to have been the 51 World Series Yankees in Brooklyn. It's like the place is just packed with Hall of Famers. And All-Stars, because it was DiMaggio's last season, and I think it was Mantle's first.
Right.
So you got both Mickey Mantle and Joe DiMaggio playing in this game. Yogi, of course. Phil Rizzuto was still there.
Yeah. Whitey.
The whole Brooklyn core is playing. Robinson and
Robinson, Reese, Campanella, Snyder, Hodges.
Right.
Don Newcomb.
They're fantastic.
Yeah.
And those films still exist, and
but they don't have the full games. They only have the highlights that they showed on Gillette. The first full regular season game is something crazy. Sometime in the 60s is the first full regular season game that they have a record of for anybody. And there's some of the Yankee highlights, World Series highlights. They've got bits and pieces of it. They never thought, why don't save them. That's why baseball cards are never
probably
so
all that stuff is in a warehouse someplace.
Maybe.
Because if you're gonna have a highlight reel, that means you had to film the rest of it, right?
Or tape.
Because you got to know that the tapes. Of course, the videotape didn't really come into at all to the late 50s.
Right.
And I think the earliest color videotape of a World Series game is the Red Sox Cardinals '67. They put out a DVD a couple of years ago.
Yes.
Or maybe the anniversary. I don't know.
But a couple years ago, and I don't know, it wasn't on ESPN Classic. It was maybe on TBS. They had a series called When It Was a Game, and they did all this stuff basically from the late 40s up to the 60s was in there.
That really was the golden age.
But what they had is they had players' home movies that they took that were in color from that time. You know, warm up and stuff. You know, bits and pieces of it. And it was wonderful to see all this stuff in color, because you know, every you know, it's all black and white what they had, and it was a wonderful series.
And you forget how, you know, we watch these things in HD now, but I remember my mother bragging about my Uncle Nilo, how clever he was in tuning his television set, that you could actually see the ball from the pitcher to the catcher. That's how sharp he had tuned his set, and really that's all it was. Just you see the motion, and you know what was happening, but you weren't really seeing the ball. You certainly weren't seeing what we were talking about in the first hour, where you could see the ball hitting three times.
No, and it's funny too when they show you a lot of those old video things on there. They're putting in the sound of the ball hitting the bat.
Yeah.
And it didn't exist. You know, Home Run Derby Saturday afternoon. Ken Boyer and Harmon Killebrew. I mean, they've been running that series again on I think it's the baseball channel. They've been running that and watching these guys.
I think Petruccia was on that When It Was a Game series back when he was a baseball historian.
Yeah, that's how he started.
Yeah, he did a lot of headshots in those days. Of course, you know, Jim was already married. He couldn't watch baseball during the 50s, right?
Yeah, that's true.
Almost over.
The 3-ring sign.
Rheingold.
No, Valentine.
Valentine
beer.
Valentine.
Don't I can't remember what.
Schultz and Julie were Utica Club. Utica Club.
Brew me no brew with artificial bubbles. Aged beer the natural way.
Utica Club. You see.
That's
the first beer I ever drank. My mom would come home from working at the bank, and she'd come in and she'd pour herself a bottle of Utica Club, and invariably there was always a little bit left in the bottle. She'd give it to me. Tastes good. Tastes better than beer does today.
I think my father was a Valentine guy. So must have been cheaper than everything else.
When we had beer in my house, we had to run across the street to the bar and come
you get a bucket?
Is that right?
No bottled beer.
No bottled beer.
Had some wine though. Had a little bit of wine.
Yeah, look at that.
You bring your own pitcher? Is it?
Yeah.
Well, there used to be the pail. You would get a pail of beer, right?
That's how the Skeepa started out over there. It's the guys who come in from the mills at lunchtime and fill up their pails of beer and go back over. And they'd send the kids down after work, pick it up and take the beer home. When we talked before, I remember my mom giving me 20 cents to go down and buy her a pack of cigarettes when I was 9 years old.
Oh, yeah.
You could see that. Nobody ever worried about
they
it.
were,
No easy limits.
I remember my mother quit when they went from 25 cents to 30. She said, that's it. I don't know.
Now they're $8.
I quit when I went to $1.
$8? Can you imagine?
No, I can't.
Seems to be all women smoking now.
I think you got more girls smoking now than boys.
Yeah.
But you know, it's funny. I go down to the stores, get the paper or a milkshake, and you look at them when they got the cigarettes in the back wall there. I only would recognize like 2 brands.
Yeah, right. Because everything's all these generic.
Yeah, they're all generic stuff. Holy cow! You know, back then you had Old Golds and Raleighs.
Lucky Strike means
Lucky
fine
Strike
tobacco. LS MFT.
Yeah, that's right.
LS MFT.
Lucky Strike means fine tobacco. Yeah.
Must have been a good slogan because I remember it.
Yeah. Well, that was all the advertising on TV with beer and.
Dun 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 da 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 da. The Marlboro Man. Dun 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 da 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 da. Take a puff. It's springtime.
Yeah.
Not a cough and a carload.
Not a
Not a cough and a carload. that was
More doctors smoke Camels than any other cigarette.
Yeah, you look in the back of the magazine.
Yeah, you know, the doctor with the big reflector on his.
Yeah, sitting there smoking. Yeah.
The 3T test: taste, throat, and I forget what the third one was. Yeah, yeah, it's cool on your throat. Sure, it sure is.
Yeah.
What was that? Oh, the King's Speech, where the doctor is prescribing that he inhale deeply on the tobacco because it's good for his throat. You know. Yeah, seriously. Yeah, the smoke is good for your throat. Yeah, or she dies of throat cancer.
You know, during, I think I got this right. It was during World War II, tobacco companies made sure in everybody's care package there's a pack of cigarettes.
That's right.
That they had to cultivate their future clients by.
You better believe it. And then after the war, they were all stuck, all hooked on it.
Yep.
Yep. And of course, one of the biggest relief programs in the city of Amsterdam was Spooks for Yanks. They collected money and they collected cigarettes, and they would send cartons of cigarettes to the boys in overseas.
Boys in the foxholes.
Cartons. And wholesale prices, it wasn't that much, but when the city's service flag was unveiled, this giant, they had a big parade in June of '42. Wasn't as big a parade as the one a few days earlier when the Yankees came to town, but my grandfather was in charge of that, and he's marching in front of the flag, and my grandmother's holding the flag. They weren't married then; they didn't get married for another 5 years or something. No, more than that, 7 years. But they had a 14-year courtship, something like that. And people would throw money on the flag as they carried it down the street, and all that money they collected like $150 in change, and that was all used to the Smokes for Yanks program. This is one of the best parts of the film is when these leaves are falling right in front of us, so they fall right in front of the camera. There goes one. Yeah.
Every time, every weekend.
It's 12 o'clock already.
Yeah. They had
we haven't even gotten into a topic for this hour yet. It's been all sports.
No. Well, it's been a variety of things because you never know what path you're going to take and where that path is going to lead you.
That's true.
Lead you.
And with that thought, ladies and gentlemen, you going to call it, or you want to go another 5 minutes?
I go to work.
You working today?
No.
No, you working today?
Yeah. I went to work this morning.
Okay then. Next week there'll probably be 2 feet of snow where we're sitting, and
that'll be our Election Day special, right?
Well, it'll be coming up. It'll be just before Election Day.
Oh yeah, 2 weeks ago before Election Day.
Yeah. So next week, I guess we can wrap up the election. We can give our predictions and make our endorsements if we do that. And see where it goes from there. Anyway, I hope you found this enlightening, and if not enlightening, at least mildly entertaining, because we always come back to do more. We'll be back next week. I'm Bob Going with Gavin Murdoch, Jim Nikosha. We'll be back in November, right?
Yes, it will be November.
Back in November for another edition of the show with no name.